Good day, guys. Welcome to Forex Walker. Welcome to episode 58. On the previous episode, we talked about the reasons why we have a spike in the volatility index and the reason why we have a we have the US dollar pumping the way that it is pumping. So what is I was talking about the JPY crosses, and this is the Euro JPY that I actually talked about. So this pullback was created by the volatility index. Let me look for the volatility index. It's right here on this side. This is the volatility index. So we're talking about the reasons why we got the spike. Yeah. So that spike has two reasons, which is the high mass missiles and which is the Tomahawk missiles granted to Ukraine from the United States, and Ukraine not being a European Union member and NATO member, but they proceed to keep getting military equipment that NATO countries have to pay billions for. But Ukraine just gets those weapons for free. We don't know why. We don't know whether Ukraine is some kind of a prostitute who has shares in other people's pockets or what. But I apologize for saying that. But that's how it is. People don't just get benefits that other people pay for and they just get them for free. So those are the reasons why we had that spike. And this was the euro. I talked about the AUD JPY, the NZD JPY, and this is the Euro JPY. Let me try to look for another cross, which might be the CAD JPY. So that is the CAD JPY. Oh, I still have that E. I'm sorry for that. I'm using too many hands, so that's part of the reason why I'm too slow. So this is the CAD JPY. You can see that similar move with the currency turning around because of that spike in the volatility index. So what happens is that after the spike, all of these commodity currencies, the euro, the pound, we're going to see a continuous pump in those currencies. Why? Because uh, we are moving towards the closure of the year. In fact, it is normal for us to get a spike in the volatility index towards a bigger move, which is the global markets moving towards the closure of the year. Let's get the pound and see what the pound is doing. In fact, the pound was actually not doing well compared to these other currencies. So this is the pound, and it's giving us that collapse in it. But most of this hyperbolic move is not because of the pound growing higher and higher. It's because of the JPY getting weaker and weaker, especially because we just moved down from. Let me show you. Especially because we just moved down from this volatility index move, this main volatility index move that happened on the 7th. On the 7th, let me just get this candle. On the 7th of April 2025, you can check it down here. So after this spike on the 7th, this market kept on pumping higher and higher. So when we get this pump, remember the market moves. Let me show you. Uh, I was talking to you about the Wyckoff schematics, where you get, let me bring those lines, where the market breaks the previous low. Uh, yeah, I'll have to make another structure. Let me show you something like that. Let me remove this guy. So what happens in the Wyckoff schematics is that you have the market bounce like that, break the low, the previous low, and after breaking that previous low, the market comes back to test. Let me show you. This is what I was trying to show you. And the market breaking, the previous low here, down here and coming back. This is called the spring and that is the test. So what happens is that after the spring, which is this level, okay, here it is inverted. Let me just turn it around as fast as I can. Let me just turn it around as fast as I can. Okay, because we're talking about something that is a little bit different here. So yeah, so let me try to draft it like that. I apologize for the time that I'm taking here. So here we have the spring, which is this guy, and the previous high being this guy. This is the spring, and the market coming back to the test, which is the spike that we're looking at here on the volatility index. And after this, the market will actually uh, uh, pump higher. But here we're talking about the volatility index. The JPY will collapse. This is the direction of the JPY. The JPY will collapse until the closure of the year, which I believe we might actually go below this level. Let me show it to you. We might actually go below this orange line here, but that will be somewhere in March next year. So that's something that I was trying to show you. But remember, these other currencies, the commodity currencies, they do the opposite of what we're looking at. This thing will be inverted upwards. It will be inverted upwards. It won't be moving in the current direction that we're showing to you. It'll be the opposite of what you see here. So it'll be something like this. And this guy will come here. So the commodity currencies are going to be moving in the opposite direction of what the commodity currencies being the euro, the pound, the AUD, the NZD, the CAD. So those are, I just call them commodity currencies because they are not safe havens. So most of the time we call them high risk currencies. So here the USD CAD is pumping, but when we look into macroeconomics, there's nothing that is pumping it. And that's the reason why I believe that we're having a hedge inflation trade or a monetary policy divergence trade. Hedge inflation trade being the currency moving or the economy of that country moving out of a recession. Hedge inflation trade happens when currency or an economy stops listening to macroeconomics. So that's what I was trying to show to you guys from that previous episode that we had. Let's see if we can get the South African Rand and the JPY. So let's just write it like this, but it's not listed in this form. It's listed in the opposite direction, which is a that is the JPY. It's listed in the opposite direction, which is a JPY ZA. But because we are trying to show you what we're talking about here, this is history. This thing happened a long time ago. So This is the same thing that you see on this commodity currency. So I need to delete all of those. I need to delete. I apologize for these guys. Let me remove all drawings. Okay. So this is what happened on this thing, but on my broker is listed as JPYZAR or JPYZAR, JPY South African Rand. So those are things that happen when commodity currencies. South Africa is also a major exporter of commodities. When commodity currencies move in the opposite direction, which is a collapse, at the moment, the South African rand is also moving out of the recession. The reason being the inflationary numbers and the the okay the GDP. But remember, inflation should not be aligned with GDP in reality. So when in I want to show you something. Uh, the S&P 500. So the S&P 500, when you see the S&P 500 after the interest rate cutting cycle was begun, which was actually in 2024, I think the euro started its interest rate cutting cycle in June the 6th. In June the 6th, let's look for June the 6th. Here was the first interest rate cut by the euro, which is one of the first currencies. So when I saw this, I thought the 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 volatility index was throwing us into a recession, but it turned around quicker, which made me understand that this is not the recession. This is actually the recession, but this only happened when the US started its interest rate cutting cycle. I think they started somewhere here, and that's where we got our first collapse. And after this turnaround, we had a spike on the volatility index. After this turnaround, we understood that the global economy was moving towards the end of the interest rate cutting cycle, especially because they have started on the previous year. And once you see the volatility index breaking the previous high like this, you know that the global economy will follow in the exiting of the recession because the S&P 500 usually exits the recession ahead of all these other commodity currencies. So this is the reason why I believe that most currencies, most economies are moving out of the recession, and moving out of the recession, no one will tell you that these currencies are moving out of the recession. You need to look at macroeconomics and how the currency responds despite the macroeconomics telling you that this currency is poorly performing. But uh, you see that the currency keeps pumping and pumping, and you wonder what's pushing this currency. Then you get to understand that uh, hedge inflation is taking over in that currency, which is the usual that we're looking at the moment. But I already have a scenario of a few currency from a few currencies, and that scenario informs me that the global economy is moving out of the recession. But most if when you use the JPY, what will happen is that when as the JPY collapses, it gets weaker and weaker. You will think the currency is pumping, only to find out that the currency is not pumping. But the euro, the central bank in Europe is not ready to confirm that we are moving out of the recession. But as you see, the move had already taken over, and by the time they confirm it, the market has already moved. Thank you guys. I'll see you on the next episode.